Politricks watch. This is Sir P. Now the long promised video is here. One of the most important I will ever do as far as I am concerned. As you are walking at the venue, I beg you no, bring on no queen, leave on the kerosene. You know when I ask for the like button pressing, but on rare occasions, we have to put it out there. Videos like this, me need only to press the like button. Need only to share it with people who only think this type of content will be interesting to. What heap of hours going at this video. This video is going to debunk the idea that Jamaica's place amongst the top 3, top 5 most murderous nations on earth every year is because Jamaica is poor. And because Jamaica's poverty is so extreme. That's Klansman and One Order and 5150 and Bad Breed and all these gangs and Janko Nation. The poverty is so extreme that's it's a bunch of rubbish. It's how it has been. But today I'm going to bring the data come show now. I'm going to show you say, not only has Jamaica become less poorer, more educated, right? Unemployment, you know, that's another argument. If you stem down to work and Jamaica's unemployment rate is so high, it's so extraordinary, that's, you know, what do you want youths to do but for go around and take off head? Again, just wait it out. Open have a cup of tea or coffee, maybe a drink thirsty, maybe even a glass of water, whatever the case may be. Open and sit back and relax. I want you to understand something. When you hear me use the word culture, when you hear me talk about mindset, don't take it lightly. I've said it many times. Jamaica's high murder rate is driven by culture and mindset. That culture, right, that mindset, one of them is the idea say somebody have to dead back, reprisals. That's why. Right, that's one of the main reasons Jamaica and countries like Jamaica have such a high murder rate. When the second in yet, I want you to do something right now. I want you to look on the screen. Now, when I got your look at rough links here and there, whole heap of things in front of me. Right, but that's how it go. Let's not major in the minor. As you can see, less than 10, right? And this is talking about Latin America and the Caribbean, have less than 1/10 of the world's population, right? Yet still accounts for about 1/3 of all homicides. Let me repeat that. Latin America and the Caribbean have about 1/10. Right? Let's call it 10. Let's be generous. 1/10 of the world's population, but accounts for 1/3 of all homicides. 14 of the 20 most murderous nations on earth in terms of homicide rate is from Latin America and the Caribbean. Show of hands how many people, right, believe, we don't never talk about no, but believe so Latin America and the Caribbean have the most impoverished people in the world. Show of hands anyway there. Tell me in the comment section, you believe that? Link me for a unicorn. Latin America and the Caribbean continuously top murder rate because the culture is the same. Jamaica, Trinidad, Honduras, El Salvador, the culture is the same. Badness run off of the same principle, gangs run off of the same principle. Somebody dead, we have to kill back 2. Them kill back 2, we kill back 4. Countries like that will always top murder charts. We can move into the data. I want you to look on your screen right now. We'll go back to basics. When you see that? 1964, 2 years after Jamaica's official independence on paper, there were 70 murders in Jamaica. 70. Just in case you're wondering, okay, maybe, yeah, the 1964 population was like 50,000 people, so that's, no, that's incorrect. Jamaica's population in 1964 was 1.7 million people. Let me put that into context. The population of Trinidad today is about 1.4 million people. Jamaica had more people in 1964 than Trinidad have today. Yet still, there were 70 murders. Remember, this is post colonial Jamaica, all of these Jamaicans would have literally lived under colonialism. They weren't under no social programs and no social intervention. The British government was not setting out their best to try and stop Jamaicans from murdering each other. But telling all the time to do the time in Jamaica. The people got in bed with them windows and them doors open. This is a fact. Ask your granny. Picnic or school with no shoes on them foot. Jamaica was a peaceful country. Jamaica was a low murder country. The narrative is Jamaica bad from it born. Complete rubbish. I'm going to prove it with the data. I want you to look on your screen right now. Because I have put things in a context so it's soaking on the brain just how serious this is. 73 murders in 2020. This is Bahamas. Bahamas, with a population of 400,000, roughly 400,000, had 73 killings in 2020 and 95 in 2019. In other words, Bahamas, with 400,000 people, had more murders than Jamaica had with 1.7 million people. I'm trying to show you just how murder was not a major issue for Jamaica. Contrary to popular belief, Jamaica was not always a murderous nation. I'm going to show another Caribbean country. Big up Bahamas, by the way. Barbados. Barbados, there were 49 murders in 2019. 42 in 2020. Barbados population, 280,000, roughly. That means that in 2019, Barbados had 49 murders with 280,000 people, but Jamaica had 1.7 million people in 1964 and only had 70 recorded murders. And thus, the context soaking it, just how low murder was in Jamaica, 1964. Do you think the Jamaicans who lived in 1964 were swimming in wealth? Do you think the Jamaicans who lived in 1964 were, there was no unemployment and the social mobility was so amazing and there was just... Let me show you some more data. I hope the numbers are soaking in because I'm going to show you something I'm going to blow in the mind. I compare them to Caribbean islands, I'm going to show you what happened when we compare it to even Uncle Sam. When I look on your screen, where does I start? I was trying to find the unemployment rate back in the day. 1960. So officially, as you can see on your screen, there was no official labor force data, right? Not them time. Right. So they had to go back and calculate it. Basically, in 1960, the unemployment rate was calculated to be 24%. Keep that number in your mind. 24%, called a quarter. A quarter of the population was unemployed. Yet still, Jamaica had lasted 63, 64, and 70 murders with 1.7 million people. It's soaking on an idiot. I wanted you to look on the screen. This is the final comparison. All of this is to kickstart the whole idea, or to kill the very idea that I just saw it got Jamaica does inherently bad people and a wicked people. Speak for yourself. Speak for modern woke Jamaicans. Old time Jamaicans were not murderous people. I'm going to show you that for a fact. Look on your screen. I did the calculation, as I say, hours and hours of data when I look on. When you see a 30-minute video, you say sometimes a days and weeks to take to put together. Jamaica's murder rate in 1964, population was 1.7 million. Total murders, 70. We're showing the JCF stats. I'm not making these numbers up. This is the calculation for murder rate. You take the amount of murders, divide it by the population, and multiply it by 100,000. In 1964, Jamaica's murder rate was 4.1 per 100,000. The same year, the United States murder rate was 5.1 per 100,000. You don't believe me? Sound too good to be true? Maybe I'm just trying to get some views. Look on your screen. Look on your screen. This is coming directly. Right? This is historical data from the CDC website. Right? When you can see it for yourself. 5.1. Jamaica was 4.1. Uncle Sam, the Uncle Sam, was 5.1. There was a time when Jamaica had a lower murder rate than even the United States. That's so keen yet? That register yet? So now we've completely destroyed the idea, the lie, the narrative that Jamaican does bad from we born and so the country stay. You know, just so we stay as a group of people who always wicked and speak for themselves, modern woke Jamaicans. Speak for themselves, failed modern woke Jamaicans and your parenting skills. Old-time Jamaicans with less money, less education, less opportunities, higher unemployment, no road for walk upon, no shoes upon them foot, produce far better children than you are raising. Don't worry, we still go up on the data. We still go up on the data. So earlier I mentioned that Jamaica's unemployment was as high as 24% in the 60s, right? When you get that? Where the argument is that, you know, if the youth them now no work, then what you think them are gonna do? You know, Jamaica is top 3 in the world for murders because our unemployment rate is so high. Right? Complete rubbish. Matter of fact, not only am I going to show you unemployment rate history, I'm going to show you youth unemployment rate history because remember most 87s are young people, are youth. Look on your screen. This right here, and 2019 is the only year I could have found for the whole world. 2019 is not 50 years ago, so it's still relevant. I want you to look at that list. Do you see Jamaica? This list shows the countries with the highest youth unemployment in the world. South Africa, over 50%. Look on the name them. Libya, Palestine, Namibia, Jordan, St. Lucia. Even Barbados is on the list. Costa Rica. Look on that. Jamaica is not top 30. Jamaica is not a top 30 country for highest youth unemployment. But telling all the time, so the idea you have in your mind that Jamaica is this country that is so destitute with the whole country unemployed and nobody, none of work and the country are dead for hungry. It's complete rubbish. The facts don't back that up. Jamaica's youth unemployment is lower than many European countries. Look on that list, you see Spain. Right? You see countries like Haiti, they big up Haiti. Tunisia. Want to see that with your own 2 eyes? Okay. Look on your screen now. Want to know now, look on? This is a historical breakdown of Jamaica's unemployment rate, and this is on macrotrends.com. Unemployment rate for Jamaica. Right. Let's take a look at this. As you can see, around 2007, 2008 them time there, 2009, right? You see a drop right there, so, right? Everybody see that? Hopefully everybody can see that. Hopefully everybody, alright, you pick up that? Alright, now, I want you to look on this now. Want to see that? Between the same time period where Jamaica have a dip in unemployment, was the same time period Jamaica had an increase in murder rate. Let me say that a different way for you. Unemployment rate went down, youth unemployment rate went down, murder rate went up. I want you to look on your screen again. You see the second time period, when you see the increase in youth unemployment, I'm showing unemployment, I'm showing youth unemployment. When you see the increase as high as 38.94 in 2013. Look at the murders for the same time period. Look, see me I move the mouse back and forth for the same time period, that's a good 2, 3, 4 years. Look on this now. Look at that. Look on the same time period. Murders went down. Murders went down. Youth unemployment rate skyrocketed to almost 40%. Murders dipped to the lowest it's ever been consistently. Not only that, this is the only period in Jamaican history since independence we've seen 3 consecutive years where murder dropped. That's after the Tivoli incursion. What if you see more? There is no relationship between increased unemployment and increased murder rate. Matter of fact, spookily enough, in Jamaica, it's the reverse. These are not my opinions. These are facts, the data shown. Unemployment go up, murder drop. Youth unemployment go way up, skyrocket, murder drop. Does that mean that? Oh, so that means that the opposite is true now. So, high unemployment, right, cause low murder. So when if you aim for high unemployment, no, complete rubbish. High murder rate is not driven by the economy. Telling already, the most notorious 87s, the Nevada Hodges, right, the bigger crimes on these youths, whatever is going on in the economy is irrelevant to them. Murder rate spike based on when gangs, feud go on, new war start, retaliation jump off. So regardless of what going on with unemployment, regardless of what going on with GDP, regardless of what going on with household poverty, the murder rate still go up and down, but at a very high level, over 1,000 consistently. According, right, to the general narrative, right, youths now no work. Then when time them now no work, the point them have the least amount of work. Right, what that means say, at this murder get the highest. There is no relationship. These are not opinions, these are facts. There is no relationship between unemployment, definitely between poverty, because poverty in Jamaica has dropped big time since the 60s and the 70s. The idea that unemployment and youth unemployment, and if the youth ended up work, and because Jamaica's unemployment is so extreme, that's why our murder rate is so extreme, is nonsense. Jamaica is not a top 30 most unemployed country, yet still it is a top 3 most murderous nation. It stands to reason that if you were trying to make an argument that is unemployment and youth unemployment, why Jamaica has the second and the third and the first, right? Because it changed year to year. Highest murder rate in the world, it simply does not hold up when you look at the facts, when you look at the data. Matter of fact, I'd go as far as to say it's downright rubbish. Anybody can simply look at the most murderous nations in the world, look at the poorest nations in the world, look at the poorest cities in the world, and if poverty and unemployment and these things are the reason that drive high murder rate, then the countries them will top them charts there with their way above Jamaica. It's culture. Latin America and the Caribbean have the same culture. But suppose they say, well, a buck up stat. A buck up. Jamaica is just a very spooky country. Alright? Let's move on to the United States. Let's look at the United States. I want you to read this up on your screen right now. You can go do your own research. Is this a puzzling anomaly? Most people assume that hard times cause crime spikes. They reason, plausibly enough, that financial pressures as a consequence of, say, becoming unemployed lead to stress, anger, and violence. Many criminologists agree. That's funny because, you know, the criminology course in Canada and all that. Many criminologists agree. The strain theory, sounds interesting, of crime holds that high or rising unemployment and poverty rates may be indicators of increasing unequal opportunities, and that periods of sharply unequal opportunity are likely to produce more crime. I just debunked that. Unemployment does not drive murder rate in Jamaica. Jamaica's highest unemployment was at the same time when murder rate was at its lowest in the 60s. And this is only because them start recording the 60s. If we could see data from the 50s and 40s, it would be even lower and unemployment would be even higher. People them time they never had no work. I mean, when you look at the numbers, I mean, roughly about half of the country was illiterate in the 60s. The 60s. So imagine the 50s, 40s, 30s. So we know that unemployment does not equal high murder rate. It goes on to state. But US history does not support economic explanations for the rise or fall of violent crime. Let me repeat that. US history does not support economic explanation for the rise or fall of violent crime. Just like how Jamaican history does not support economic explanations for the rise or fall of violent crime, come on, hit that like button. Hit that like button, it's the least you can do. Your favorite lecturer, you probably not show you this. He might tell us that poverty in this youth seminar not work, what you expect. Jamaica is second in the whole world because Jamaica's unemployment rate is so high and the poverty. Complete rubbish. False narrative. See? Uncle Sam plays back it up, but don't worry, I'm going to show you the film numbers them too. Such crime defined as, murder and the big R, robbery, aggravated assault, has stayed high or risen during boom periods as it did in the 1920s and 60s, as it has continued low or declined during recessions as it did in the 1890s and the 1930s. I want you to look on the screen right now. This is a history of Uncle Sam's murder rate. You can see just above 9 is as high as you go up on this screen, right? Take a good look. As you can see, murder has been rising consistently for Uncle Sam from the 1900s. It'll go up, it'll go up, it'll go up, it'll go up. When it reaches highest peak, you know what happened right there, so? Because where you see the red line go over the blue, that's documenting major events in American history. So the first part is World War I. The second part is the Great Depression. Look at the arrow. Couple years into the Great Depression, America had its lowest or one of its biggest drop in murders ever. This is not my opinion. Look at the screen. Remember the information from the LA Times article mentioned that they've seen murder drop during economic recessions. The 1930 Depression. No, we don't have to go do no own research on this, but this is one of the worst periods in American history. Right? The level of unemployment, poverty, the level of Americans, literally, it was so bad, people were throwing themselves at buildings in record numbers. One of the worst economic periods in not just America, but the world. Look on the murder rate. Look on the murder rate. This is not opinion. This is not my feelings. If murder rate was driven by economic reasons, in the middle of the Great Depression, the murder rate couldn't drop so low, and it continued to drop low. Wonder if we see what going on, so. Wonder if we really see what going on, so. Let me just put it in a context for you. 1929, unemployment rate 3.2, 1930, 8.7. So now the Great Depression drop. They're now in the Great Depression because it started in the 30s. Look on the figures. It go from 3.2 to 8.7 to 15.9, 23.6, 24.9. You don't understand the magnitude of what was happening to America? Imagine America having 24.9% unemployment. 21.7, 20.1, 16.9, 14.3, 19% in 38. 1940, 14.6. And realize these numbers were extraordinary. Yet still throughout all of this, murder was falling. Murder rate was dropping as I'm showing you. That register on the head? Has it registered in on the head? Now the same article before mentioned that they've seen murder spike during times of economic boom. Look on the 1960s. This is when murders take off in America. The 1960s is when time murders start skyrocket, but look on unemployment. When you see the figures, 5.5, 5%, 4%, 3.8, 3.8, 3.4, 3.5. So the time period where people that have 20% unemployment rate, right? Much bank shut down, work gone, the banana work, murder rate drop. They will show you the murder stats them for the same 1960s. Look on your screen. When you see that, where the red line start, another major event happened there, Vietnam. Right? But the red line, it will follow straight, go up to the big spike in the crime of the 60s, go right onwards to the 70s, middle of the 70s. So with 3.8% average, look at murder rate. But when it was 20 it'll drop. Let me read the article again for you, just in case you forget. A long video, me understand if you forget certain things. Listen again. Many criminologists agree. Criminologists from Winnipeg, woke criminologists, agree. The strain theory of crime holds that high or rising unemployment and poverty rates may be indicators of increasing unequal opportunities, and that periods of sharply unequal opportunity are likely to produce more crime. But US history does not support economic explanations for the fall and rise of violent crime. Neither does Jamaica. Economic explanations, using them to say that's why a country's murder rate high, is downright ridiculous. It is a false narrative pushed by wokeactivists and simpletons. Wokeactivists have their reasons for pushing it. Might have to do a separate video on that. You see the same 60s when crime take off in America. I'm going to show them poverty. I'm going to show them the unemployment rate. I'm going to show them poverty. And I'm going to even break it down by race. The good thing about uncles and places, for them data very granular. Right? Look on that. As you can see, it starts off. You see blacks, you see Hispanic, any race, Asian, you see non-Hispanic, white. Blacks start off over 40 odd. And you see that over 40% poverty in the 60s. Now, it's down to what, 18.8. Poverty has fallen to every group of people in America. Yet still, this was a time period when murder was skyrocketing. This is interesting, and there's a reason why I'm showing you it brought down by race. The idea that Black America was always violent and dysfunctional is also rubbish. The 1960s is spooky for Uncle Sam place. Uncle Sam did come out with some policy to say we're going to help you out, quote unquote help you out, but it had some spooky conditions. In order to get some of that help, for example, one of them was you can't have a man at the house. One of the greatest smoke and mirrors ops I've ever seen Uncle Sam pull off. Telling women that we're going to give you this and give you this for quote unquote free, but only if you're not a man at the house. I'd have to do a separate video upon that. This is the time period where black men, black fathers started to disappear from the home. Crime spike. Crime in the black community in America started to spike. You want to destroy a community? Remove the men from the home. Wokeactivists never go down that path and talk about it. Instead, they want you to focus on the economic explanation. It's poverty, it's unemployment, but me just showing you the facts. Say, unemployment during this time period was low. Poverty was falling. Big time too. It's there in front of you. There is no economic explanation for Jamaica high murder rate. None at all. May I go to one last country? Who wanna see right here so? Now which country this? Bad man place, El Salvador. One of the few countries that can top Jamaica when it comes down to murder rate. Look on El Salvador unemployment rate from 1991 to 2022. When you see the figure them, 7.6 and 7. It's not, you're probably thinking, boy, nobody now work at El Salvador. Look on those figures, 6 point whatever. Jamaica's lowest unemployment in history is like 7.1. El Salvador dropped it to all 4. No, look on El Salvador murder rate. 95, 141.72. 141.72 in 1995. Right. You want to see the next big spike? May I get to it. 105 in 2015. What was El Salvador's unemployment rate like in 2015? Because boy, nobody now work them time they surely. Oh, 4%. 4%, record low. With a record low unemployment rate, they had 105 per 100,000. I wonder if this will make sense too, no? We have to go watch this video about 3 times. Because me make the video and me have to watch it back. Right? So I know some people think say them are genius man genius. But I promise you this is one of the video them where you have to watch back to fully get what I want. There is no economic explanation for high murder rate. Unemployment does not equal country having high murder rate. Poverty does not equal country having high murder rate. Literacy rate does not equal country having high murder rate. There is no economic explanation. The idea that Jamaica comes second and third every year because of economic reason is complete rubbish. Jamaican youths are raised in highly dysfunctional homes, highly dysfunctional communities, then a acidic culture and mindset. But in terms of why the numbers them always so crazy in Jamaica, and we're not having a civil war, we're not having nothing like what going on in Mexico with this cartel versus that cartel, it's because of the idea say somebody have to dead back. Retaliation. Tit for tat. That make our murder rate high. One, we have a culture of badness, don't take no talk. Right? Bunch of angry people come from very messed up homes. When the initial spark get lit, it then say somebody have to dead back. This attitude between gangs, dead back, is the reason why when gangs are war, and you see them go back for your man, go back for your man, go back for your man. It's not two group of poor youths battling because of the scant resources, them a fight for food, and if all them have more money. No, when youths get more money, them buy more guns and settle more beef. Because the members say then they lose 3 friends and somebody have to dead back. And them can't wait, they try hard to make money, to buy guns to meet them goals. Highly acidic culture. There's no economic explanation as well. This is not my opinion. I'm showing the data. Now, I understand enough people are going to reject this because it's coming from a little YouTuber. Right? I hope in 10 years time, Billy Joe, right? Because if you want Jamaicans really believe something, you have to make Billy Joe tell them the data is there. Even without the data, even if you've never been to school in your life, but you're old enough to remember when Jamaica was a certain way and how it is now, you will see our culture has changed. Jamaica did not get poorer. Jamaica did not get more unemployed from the 70s. Jamaica did not get more illiterate. Jamaicans did not get less social mobility. When you want them thing there, talk to the Jamaicans in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s about them thing there. Thing them want to cry about, we don't have enough of that. Imagine a Jamaican in the 60s and the 50s. Yet still, they produced far better citizens. I'm not saying they were perfect, obviously, but they're better than you. They got better results than you. Your granny, who you think you're brighter than and better than, got better results than you. Your grandfather, who you think you're so much brighter and better than because you have 2 degrees, he got better results than you. He raised better youths than you. Modern Jamaicans are producing sci-fi and JJ Nappies and these youths. Demons from hell. Anyway, let me say, Billy Joe, or upon say them things that the Jamaicans can accept it. I know say them not take this on a little YouTuber. But we've seen it already, where we say certain things and people reject it, laugh, who you think you are, and then somebody with them consider, quote unquote, somebody come say it and them accept it. So, anyway, Patreon Squad, big up on yourself. PIA, you don't know, more life. Ultra Squad, stay circling, bless.